Welcome to Pure Country Reacts. I'm Rebel and this is Lexi, and today we're going to be looking at courtroom cams and courtroom outbursts. I love to watch a lot of these videos. I mean, sometimes some really crazy crap goes on in the courtroom, and if you're not there, you don't see it. And I find them pretty interesting. Sometimes they are well worth the outburst. Sometimes they are not. But we got some ideas. Lexi's always sort of kind of surfing around YouTube trying to get ideas for us. And she says, hey, let's do some courtroom stuff. So this is what we're going to do today. So let's see what happened in some courtrooms.
The El Paso County Courthouse in El Paso, Texas.
All right.
Please be seated. The record should reflect
I can't hardly hear.
the attorneys for the state, the attorneys for the accused. The accused are present in the courtroom.
The man you see here is 41-year-old Daniel Villegas, accused of killing two teens in 1993 when he was just 16.
How old is he now?
At that time, without an attorney or his parents present, Villegas says he was coerced by an El Paso detective into confessing to the murders. Despite recanting the confession hours later, it became a key piece of evidence for the prosecution.
The court has received a message from the jury indicating that
Well, I do know that when you're underage, that you always have a right to an attorney, but when you're underage, you have a right for your parents to be there during questioning, because young kids don't know the laws and they don't know their rights. So I can sort of kind of understand at this point, but let's see what happens.
Just a verdict.
Villegas has been on trial 3 separate times for this crime and has maintained his innocence throughout.
Is there any proof?
His first trial in 1994 ended in a mistrial due to a hung jury. A 1995 retrial ended with a conviction for capital murder, and Villegas was sentenced to life in prison. After spending 18 years in prison, that verdict was thrown out in 2013 because of ineffective assistance of counsel. Villegas was released in January of 2014 and has remained out on bond as he awaited a third trial. During that time, he fathered 2 children. Though the prosecution continued to insist on his guilt, there was no DNA, no firearm, and no forensic evidence presented linking Villegas to
So
the
how do
shooting.
you arrest somebody and then makes them this person?
That was the thing. That was the thing is he said at the time that this happened that he was 16 and he was bullied into his confession. And kids, like I say, don't know their rights, and their parents should always
At
be.
16, I'd say I never murdered anybody, and you could make me guilty all you want. Thing is I did not do it.
Yeah, I understand that, but I've counseled you enough, and you've watched enough.
I've been enough horrible children to handle myself.
I watch a lot of courtroom stuff, a lot of crime stuff.
I don't really watch the courtroom stuff.
Courtroom stuff. I watch a lot of crime stuff. I love crime documentaries, serial killer documentaries, psychological, psychopathic, things like that. And so I'm really weirded out about a lot of people. And so at a young age, I began telling her, just exactly how cruel the world can be and how everybody might look one way but may act a different way. So she would never be... that she would always have her guard up, and that she would never be very trusting of people. People have to earn her trust, which is exactly what I've told. People have to earn your trust, and trust is not earned very easily. Side note, though, or that was a side note, but this, obviously was a kid that at 16 says he was basically bullied into a confession, and that's why he's here. They just said no forensic evidence, no fingerprints, no blood, no nothing.
That's the thing.
It's just a confession.
So why did it go to trial?
Because he confessed. A confession, they're going to take you on a confession.
A confession alone does so much, and it's not much at all.
And there are times where some people confess to crimes because they want the notoriety as well. Like with the John Benet Ramsey, there was a guy that said he did it. And there's no proof that he did it, and I think they found out that he didn't do it. Because they really just don't know who did it anyway. But that is messed up. Some people will take credit for crimes they didn't commit in order to get notoriety, to get famous or whatever, which is really stupid. I'll stay out of jail.
Any murderer's name needs to drop down and never be carved in history at all.
Exactly. Don't make them into stars for sure, because believe me, I know probably more serial killer names than I know people in the White House, okay, or in my government.
Yeah, I'd rather not know the serial killers either, because they annoy me.
Yeah, well, of course they do.
If the defendant
so let's see.
please stand.
Within moments, he'll find out if he goes home with his family or spends the rest of his
This
life
makes me
in
worry for
prison.
him, and I don't even know him.
In the District Court of El Paso County, Texas, 409th Judicial District, the State of Texas versus Daniel Villegas, number 94-0D09328. Verdict Form B. We, the jury, find the defendant Daniel Villegas not guilty of...
Whoa.
Well, yeah.
Oh, wow. With no evidence.
Well, yeah, no evidence at all.
Bless him. And he served 18, did they say, years or 16 years?
For the first time since he was 16 years old, 25 years ago, Daniel Villegas is a free man.
25
Mr.
years.
Villegas, you have been under many conditions
Well, he's been tried 3 times. It's terrible.
in this court. You are no longer under any conditions in this court. You are free. Good luck.
Well, God bless him. I tell you, if you're innocent, prison is definitely not the place for you.
In America, because Americans are
Now we have to
trash.
Cleveland, Ohio, to the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court for the sentencing of convicted serial killer Michael Madison.
All right, so he's a convicted serial killer already. You can even tell by the way he walks in the courtroom. He's already flipping birds to people, okay? He's probably even confessed. There's probably tons and tons of evidence against him, linking him to these killings or whatever.
He don't care.
The thing is when you have evidence, I don't really agree with them saying, okay, well, we're going to give you X amount of time or whatever.
You give life to me.
Yeah, especially if you are a murderer.
If it's a crime against humanity, against free will and killing people, kidnapping people, whatever it is you think is against free will, you should give life in prison.
I think, though, that murder, when you take a life, you should automatically forfeit your life in the court system, okay? And that is when there is irrefutable evidence that you have done this, okay? When there's irrefutable evidence that you have committed a crime that took a life, multiple lives, it should be instant death penalty. I'm very, very in favor of the death penalty. It does not deter people. Neither does prison. I mean, because when you had prison a long time ago, it used to be hard labor type things. Now when you go to prison, you get 3 square meals a day. You get better medical help, probably, or medical care than most people do that are walking the streets. You get access to an education, all kinds of things, okay? They get cable TV. They have heat in the winter. They have air conditioning in the summer. So prison is not a deterrent, okay? But that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people are not for that type of punishment. I am. When you take a life,
they're probably for criminals.
When you take a life, I think you forfeit your life, and really, that's just my opinion. And I think that if people didn't sit on death row until they drop dead, maybe that would be the deterrent, is to know that you are actually going to be executed. I mean, even when you're given a life sentence or a death sentence, you automatically have 5 appeals. Well, that's too many, especially when there's irrefutable evidence that you committed the crime or the crimes. Okay, I just threw in my pure country opinion, and like I say, a lot of people don't agree with that, but that's my opinion, and that's what I would absolutely go
You
for.
think the government would be harder on people who are murderers?
Yeah,
but
well,
they're not.
our government is not.
Madison's been convicted on 3 counts of aggravated murder for the killing and mutilation of 3 young women in Ohio. As part of the hearing, Van Terry, the father of one of Madison's victims, steps up to the podium to make a victim impact statement.
He's gonna kick his ass.
Mr. Terry's now
See what
just a
he
few
needs
feet
to serve
away
his
from
right
the
to
man who
talk.
so brutally took the life of his daughter, Sherelda.
Right now, I guess we're supposed to, in our hearts, forgive this crime. It's touched our families, taking my child.
He's looking directly at Madison.
Oh yeah, and the king, and look, and he's grinning. He's grinning. He thinks it's funny. And see, these people's loved ones are gone forever, and this person here
Does not care.
doesn't care. He has no remorse. These are the people that the death penalty is made for. And until something like this impacts your life, I don't think people really understand.
People don't tend to care until it happens to them.
Exactly. And that's how I feel like a lot of people who fight for the rights of criminals should taste a little bit of that. And it's that opinions have been changed when crime directly affects you. Has crime directly affected me? No. I've never lost a loved one to murder. But I still believe fervently in the death penalty. These people will never ever get over the loss of their loved one, and especially when this joke of a person is in the courtroom laughing and smirking and laughing and flipping birds. These type of people don't need anybody.
They don't need to be in society.
They don't need anybody to be pulling for them and trying to get them shorter prison times. Why? You want them back on the
Even
street?
bail money, because that's a common thing right now in America, that some people want to get rid of bail.
Yeah, and some places actually have. But would you really want someone who brutally murdered your mother, father, child, sister, brother, grandmother,
Cousin.
and then mutilated them? Would you really want them to smirk at you and flip birds? I mean, yeah, you know, the highest power in the world, God's going to have the last say, but you know, sometimes people on earth want to get a little swipe in there too, and I can't blame the man for it, you know.
That's the reason why he jumped on him, because he smiled at him.
Who's a red hat? Is that
Van
that guy right
Terry
there?
is released without charges. A short time later,
Well, should
County
be.
Judge Nancy McDonald hands down Madison's sentence.
It should be
Michael
free.
Madison is sentenced to death and will now live on Ohio's death
They're hard to
row.
answer.
James Foxman Justice Center in Daytona Beach, Florida.
All right, Miss Cook, come on up.
The woman being sworn in is 18-year-old Keandria Cook. Cook's in court today to receive a sentence for using a dating app to set up a robbery that ended with another teen being shot. The teen survived. Cook has accepted a plea deal that will drop a conspiracy charge, which carried a maximum penalty of life in prison. But counts of carjacking, attempted carjacking with a deadly weapon, and felony battery are still in play.
That ain't looking good for you,
Come
girl.
on up, Miss Cook. You get the...
That's why you don't do bad things. And you know what? I don't feel sorry.
And robbing somebody by using a dating app, that's just plain out wrong. Somebody thinks they going out with a girl or a guy or whatever, and it's all a setup to rob somebody. I mean, you know, get a job. If you can't get a job, get an education, do something. Don't take what other people have earned. I mean, and then the guy got shot in the process. This is not looking good for this girl.
And like I said, I don't feel sorry.
I don't either.
I don't at all.
I mean, you, as my mom used to say, you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. And if you align yourself with people who do bad things or wrong things or criminal things, that's going to rub off on you.
Unless you
And-
distance yourself.
Exactly. So, I mean, mind the people and the company that you keep, and especially for somebody her age, you know, keep moving forward with, you know, your education or whatever you can, you know, take some type of a class if you can, try to learn a trade if you can. There's lots of different things out there, but don't resort to doing stuff like this, because a lot of times one bad mistake and your life is gone. Let's see what's going to happen to this girl.
And I'm sorry, could have been wrong that her son had to get shot.
I didn't have to get shot.
Get shot.
I mean, she may not have known, but hey,
Well, you still
You were in the deal.
You were in the deal.
exactly.
And if you know your boyfriend is into violence, and you know what, there's no shock.
For forgiveness when she said
Oh, I wouldn't forgive you for years.
Get out.
Yeah.
Well, you ruined yourself, and you know
shoulda
what?
did that.
Shouldn't have dated him.
Her first child to bring home high school diploma.
Look, so she has not even graduated high school, and she's already
Out doing stuff.
risked her freedom and her life for a boyfriend, and that's probably his idea or the friend's idea or whatever. She's been pulled into this plan because, of a boyfriend or whatever. Girls, don't be messing with nobody that's out to take something from somebody else who's violent, who's abusive. Be better than that. Separate yourself from that, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think this ended well for this girl. It's not going to end well for anybody, and it's going to depend on what state you're in as well. I'm not sure where this state was. They may have mentioned it, but
I think it said Florida.
I don't know. But all those charges against her, they did drop one charge, but all those others are going to weigh on her. She's 18. She's not finished high school yet.
I just want to meet my own crowd.
Well, you didn't.
Should have thought about that before we
Cook
did
now
what your
prepares to
boyfriend
hear her
wanted.
sentence as her loved ones look on.
Ms. Cook, you're before the court for sentencing. A couple of things going in your favor. One, you didn't hold a firearm during these episodes. The second is that the victim luckily survived. That being said, this was intentional. There was an orchestrated ambush, and you are a main part of that. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and adjudicate you guilty of all 3 charges, sentence you to 20 years in state
Wow.
prison.
Hey, your fault. Not mine. Not his.
Concurrent as to the first 2 counts.
The crying you hear is coming from Cook's mother. The sentence
Raise your
is much
daughter,
more
Britta.
severe than they expected.
Charges.
What did you expect?
All fines and costs.
You expect her to be innocent?
And I'm guessing that the other 2 accomplices probably got more than that, especially the shooter. I mean, it's a sad thing, but I'm with Lexi. I can't feel sorry for you when
You know the consequences of it.
when
You do
you
it.
know that you're doing something illegal, you're breaking the law, and you're harming someone else, and the victim could have died, all because you're going to commit a robbery. It's a tragedy. It really is. It's a tragedy for this girl, and it's a tragedy for the victim. I hate that a lot of times girls are easily led by these boyfriends by love or whatever.
No, a lot of girls actually like getting into dirty work too, because I know a lot of them.
Well, no, May. She's been friends with different kinds of people. She, is open to all friendships with all people. And then when you sort of kind of show your true colors, then there's where the hammer falls. So her circle's very small. She doesn't want to be involved in things like that. So it's good to have goals. Obviously, this girl probably did have some goals, got mixed up with the wrong guy, and here we are. She's being sentenced to 20 years. So, I mean, it's bad, but you hate it for her and you hate it for the family, but there's a victim in this.
No, I don't hate it for her. I hate it for the family.
Yeah.
It turns
She did
out
it on
that
her
Cook
own.
and her mother's reactions were so intense because they believed the plea deal meant no prison time.
Excuse me?
She did a plea
Judge
deal.
Foxman allows her to enter a new plea deal.
All right, so let's see
citing
what's happening now.
miscommunication between Cook and the assistant public defender. As a
All right.
result of that new deal,
I think you got good in you, and I think you got potential. Don't lose sight of that.
No, she ain't got nothing.
Cook's
Hey, is that
sentence
the
is
same guy
reduced
that
to
sat for
11
the other
years in
one?
prison.
Yeah, I think so. It was
11
the other
years. So it went to 11 years, 20 to 11. And most times you serve so much of that time or percentage of that time, and then sometimes you can get out even earlier on good behavior. So we shall see, I guess.
We're at the Lewis County Courthouse in Chehalis, Washington, in the courtroom of Judge R.W. Buzzard, who's just finished some business with the 4 defendants to the right. This is Tanner Jacobson, who's charged with reckless driving and driving with a suspended license. This is Cody Howard, who's charged with 2nd-degree burglary, 1st-degree trafficking in stolen property, 3rd-degree driving with a suspended license, and 2 warrants for failing to appear in court.
Why ain't he just a plethora of awesomeness? Jeez.
Most people that walk in the courts usually are.
Burglary, trafficking in stolen property, driving with license suspended, not showing up to court. Yeah, he's a real winner.
Neither of them feel like sticking around. Judge Buzzard springs into action.
He actually
And
runs.
it's on. Keep in mind the two escapees are in handcuffs and
Yeah, you
prison
won't get
issue
far.
sandals.
And now we're gonna add trying to escape, I guess. Oop! You come out of your flip flop, dude.
A witness points the judge in the right direction, as does this bright
Flip-flop.
orange clue here. They've made it to the third floor stairwell.
With Lewis County Jail on the back of your shirt. Run, Judge, run!
And now to the second, just one floor away from freedom.
Yeah,
Judge
but
Buzzard is gaining some
He's
ground,
catching up.
especially on the one who lost his sandal.
Oh!
The judge tackles the lagging defendant just outside the exit to the building.
Go out that door. Go out,
Two
there you
deputies
go.
catch up moments later and bring him back to a cell. The other defendants picked up just a few blocks away.
Of course he
Both have
was.
second-degree escape added to their charges.
Yeah, boy.
What were these two thinking?
They weren't.
Judge asked.
We were sitting there on the benches together, and he's like, I'm gonna run.
I said, what am I doing? What did I just do? I gotta
Yeah, you
go
knew
right
exactly
now.
what you were
There's
doing.
nothing
There's Mr. Winner. What am I doing? I'm having a conversation with myself.
I can't
Dude.
stop right here. There's nothing I can do now. I'm screwed.
Like, I just stopped on my own. I'm like, what am I doing right now? It was just a split second, like, decision. I don't even know why I
and
did
see
it.
what
Like, I
happens.
was
'Cause you're a
out of fear,
follower.
right?
That's
I
why
didn't
you
try
did
to
it.
escape to get out.
You're
I tried
sheep.
to escape to get well, and I tried to do what I could, do what I could do to get my drug addiction.
No, yeah. He wanted to get back out and get that drug again.
Jackson, Michigan, to the
I
Fourth
hate it when they
Circuit
look
Court.
all pixelated.
A personal protection
Probably some of them
violation
bad
hearing
quality
is on
cameras.
against
They just
this
gotta
man,
have a camera
Jacob
involved.
Larson. The defendant's accused of sending unwanted advances through Facebook messages.
Oh, I saw
to
this
this
one.
woman seated here, a former high school acquaintance. This incident's a violation
wouldn't even wanna
of a
sit that
restraining
close.
order against Jacob.
All those messages were like, a lot of them were like last year. How many of them, like after the year, how many of them were after the day of the PPO?
So they've never been in a relationship. They're just acquaintances from school. And she has to get a restraining order against this guy from school who obviously she didn't have anything with.
22. I don't post on that much. What's that? I don't post on that much.
This is the second time the judge has questioned the defendant about his contact with the plaintiff. In fact, the same judge had issued the defendant's original PPO 4 months earlier.
I know. It's like this fatal attraction kind of stuff that I warned you about last time. I told you to just leave her alone. She was a classmate of yours. She apparently has no interest in seeing.
I want her to tell me to leave her alone.
I'm sure she probably already
You know what?
has.
I told you to leave her alone. And apparently that didn't get through loud and clear. So today, you're going
And
to
if
jail
she
for 3
wanted a
weeks.
protective order,
And the next
that's her
time you
saying,
violate
leave me
it,
alone.
you'll go to jail. Hey, you know what? You got a bad attitude. You had a bad attitude last time you were in court. Okay?
You and her are
Just put him behind
buddy-buddy,
bars.
all get along.
That's what's best for him now.
Law. I'm getting psychopath off this guy. Don't
Yeah.
you think?
Well, yeah, because I can see psychopath. You know.
45 days county jail.
45.
93 days in the county jail.
93.
You want to go for a year? Try it right
Do
now.
it, dude, do it.
One more word out of you, it'll be a year of county.
Over Facebook. Really?
Over violations of my PPO and your
I
conduct
never-
in the
I
courtroom.
never-
93 days in county.
You
The
aggravate the
judge,
hell
clearly
out of her.
agitated by the defiant
Give
defendant,
him the year.
sending him to jail.
I ain't never threatened
Stand
her.
up.
Come,
Stand up.
yeah.
Buddy.
Stand up.
You're going to jail for a year in the county. 365 days.
Bravo. 1 year. Yep. Yeah, he can. It's his courtroom.
I will. Good.
Put your hands behind your back
Tell me to
now.
leave you alone. Tell me to leave you alone.
I think the
Put your
PPO
Put your hands
did
behind your back.
the personal protective
Put your
order.
hands behind your back.
You think that meant keep texting me?
Right now.
The judge now steps in to help subdue the defendant.
I like them judges that get handsy.
We'll make it 93. You can think about it. All right.
Now, when they show bouts of violence like this, don't you think they need to be behind bars and not go out in society again? I mean, why put these people back on the streets?
I'm a good person, but he wants to hound someone to the point that she feels she needs protection.
Days in county jail.
Outbursts broke out during the arraignment of Matthew Komrowski, the man charged with last week's Cranston murder of his 38-year-old girlfriend Shirley Donnelly and then setting a fire to cover it up.
Preliminary results of the medical exam of the examiner indicate the manner of death as a homicide.
Komrowski, who had tight security after being uncooperative during his bail hearing at the Cranston police station over the weekend, agitated the victim's family when he told the judge they would help pay for his bail.
Yeah, I think their family is going to help me.
As Komrowski, who entered no plea on murder and kidnapping charges, was being let out of the courtroom, a man believed to be the victim's friend or relative reached over the rail and lunged at him, causing a ruckus.
And you know you ain't gonna get close. You know you're not. So then you get in trouble.
Outside the courtroom, family members expressed outrage over Komrowski's callous actions and his criminal past.
It was more than that, his rap sheet. It was arson, domestic, attempted murder, assault.
One by one, heads down, all in shackles, the three people accused of killing 10-year-old Victoria Martins made their way into the courtroom.
A 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
A 10-year-old.
Now, these people also should not come out of prison.
No,
killing a child.
When you hurt a child and you are supposed to be the ones who protect the kid, they're guardians. Yeah, no, I'm for taking you out on the square and executing you right then, okay? Because children are innocent. Children cannot defend themselves, and when you are their guardian, their mother, their father, their grandparent, or whomever, and you kill them, or you abuse them, or you neglect them, I have absolutely no problem. I have no...
Most women, actually, if they were to hear a case like that, they would want to kill whoever it was.
I mean, seriously, as a mother, that should be maternally in you, and as a father, that should be in you to protect that child. Who are these people to this? Oh my gosh, yeah, no, I don't have sympathy for people like this.
Jessica Kelly and Fabian Gonzalez are suspects in one of New Mexico's most horrific crimes.
I remember that
As
one.
they spotted friends or family members, there were plenty of tears and sighs.
Oh, boo-hoo.
The grandparents of 10-year-old Victoria Martins held hands and wore pins saying, "Forever Victoria." Last August, Victoria was raped, killed, dismembered, then set on fire. Victoria's mother, Michelle, is one of the suspects.
Her
in this
mother.
case. At first, it was quiet in the courtroom. Then, a woman who blew kisses at our photographer and gestured for Jessica Kelly to smile was kicked out.
Yep, get out.
Leave the courtroom now.
After that, Martin's defense attorney, Gary Mitchell, asked if he could sit next to his client for security reasons. Then, when the three suspects were moving out of the jury box and in front of the judge, Jessica Kelly tumbled over, and bailiffs had to help her get back on her feet. Eventually, she made her way in front of the judge, who decided all three will be tried separately.
You had put cigarettes out on this poor little child.
What?
There was evidence of that from the pictures. The bruises, some of the bruises were in the shape of a belt buckle.
I ain't gonna let you, I ain't gonna let you sit here and say no crazy shit about me, man. No, man, he's saying shit he don't even know, man.
Sir, the testimony showed that you put this child and other child in a shower with ice cold water.
He just don't like hearing what he's done, I'm assuming.
Just take him out and sentence him to life. It's
Well,
not
he's fixing to be sentenced. He just can't stand there and listen to all this stuff. I mean, if he didn't do it, I understand that, but obviously he's being sentenced because
he done it.
That he done it. There's some evidence that he did it.
Sat in court smiling and nearly laughing.
Oh,
as
yeah, I
a mother
remember this
shed
one. This one
tears
pissed
for
me
her
off.
Son, shot and killed by Wright.
I've lost laughter and love. I no longer have the hope of having grandchildren. I've lost the enjoyment of holidays and birthdays and of everyday life.
Wright addressed the court showing no remorse.
I just want to tell y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon. I love my family.
Oh, yeah, I do remember this one.
This
The
one
judge,
was
clearly fed up with the defendant's attitude, stopped the proceedings and asked prosecution to consider taking this case to trial, where Wright would face a stiffer punishment if found guilty by a jury.
But watching you sit there, smile and laugh and shake your head like this was no big deal, I'm very tempted to just say, I'm not going to accept this sentence agreement. We'll go to trial. And if you're convicted of felony murder, you'll go to prison for the rest of your life. That means you'll die there.
This is not the first time the teen has shocked the courtroom. Back in June during a pretrial hearing, he admitted he shot and killed 18-year-old Jordan Clee. It was October 2016. Wright said he and 2 other friends were trying to rob Clee when he shot Clee in the back of the head, killing him. The victim, a senior at Pioneer High School in Ann Arbor, was described as a high-achieving student and football athlete.
This year was supposed to be a year of celebration, of senior pictures with prom and graduation. And
he should actually just send him to
Instead, it was
trial.
a nightmare.
I agree.
A nightmare that no parent should ever endure.
Ultimately, Jordan's family
take the
decided
plea
not
away.
to take this case to trial and to move forward with today's sentencing. The defense attorney apologizing on behalf of the 17-year-old.
His smiling was in no way meant as disrespectful either to the family, to the victim, or to this court.
Donta Wright was sentenced to 23 to 50 years for armed robbery, felony firearm, and second-degree murder of 18-year-old Jordan Clee.
I would have sent him to trial where he can spend life.
Got life, man. Got a life sentence.
The ruling wasn't just based on this August attack on Waco store owner Martha Jane Ezon. Tony Wayne Swinney has been in and out of prison in past years for felonies.
Yeah.
To come back
in and out. In and out.
For felonies.
Yet, you keep him on the streets. And you know what? He does more damage, he hurts more people, and he commits more crime. And you know what? It doesn't do a effing thing.
Nope.
Stop keeping these people on the streets. If anybody who's in the justice system watching this, why you keep these people on the streets? You're evil.
to society and be productive, and he didn't do it. And the crimes got more violent as he committed them.
Exactly.
Prosecutors also called victims of crimes that Swinney has confessed to, but hasn't been prosecuted for yet, like this assault and robbery at a McDonald's in Grand Prairie last July.
Now,
exactly.
Why attack an older gentleman? Okay, why attack an older gentleman? Stuff like that burns me up. And it's like Lexi said, why does he keep getting out? Why do you keep letting these people out on the street? I mean,
he's committing felonies,
and are they doing their time the first time? I mean, I know they can't be getting out of jail on like good behavior. There's no way. It's crazy.
As the life sentence was announced, there were cheers and tears from Izar's family before they had one last chance to tell him face to face about the pain they say he caused Martha, her grandchildren who witnessed the crime, and the entire family.
I'm glad that he got life. I don't think it's good enough for him. I think he's a coward. I asked him several times to look at me when I was speaking to him. He didn't want to look at me. At one point he laughed. Like I told him, I hope he has the nightmares in his head that our whole family's been through.
The judge's last words to Swinney, "I wish I could give you more." A sentiment shared by Izar's family.
His eyes are the keyhole to his soul. And there was no remorse there.
Last thing is, if he doesn't, and now we all know this because we're American, we hear it all the time. If he don't get actual nightmares in his sleep, he's gonna get nightmares from inmates.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't feel sorry. I just don't. I don't.
He obviously has no remorse.
I mean, he's smirking and laughing.
He's obviously just has a black soul, if there is any soul in there.
No, there's no soul.
And people like that, he's not going to have any nightmare because he doesn't have any kind of remorse for what he's done. He's just going to a hotel with bars, So, I think the justice system needs overhauling for people who do things, especially if you're in a court and you are smirking. You've killed somebody, or you've raped somebody, or you've hurt a child or something,
or you hurt somebody.
Yeah, and you're smirking about it. No. Okay, throw the book at you. I'm ready to throw the book at you, and you need to get absolutely the most you can get. I mean, come on. I mean, you don't just hurt the one person. It goes out, and what he does hurts his own family as well. He's got a mom. He may have a wife. He may have kids. I don't know. But this reverberates out to the victims, and to the perpetrators. Everybody's got family here. Nobody wins in these cases.
That's the thing is, honestly, even if I was a family member of somebody who does such cruel things, I even myself wouldn't be able to feel anything for them, just because I know they're cruel. But also the fact that if you've seen early instances of violence in these people's lives, like I've been in psychology classes, I've already said this before, and early stages is either you hurting yourself and not feeling any pain, or you hurting and killing an animal and not feeling a thing.
Definitely torture of animals is on the list, the long list of serial killers as well. Not to mention people who aren't serial killers but who do perform acts of violence against other people. If that is like a absolute
dead giveaway,
it's a red flag immediately. If you have a young child that is hurting an animal, go ahead and start seeking some kind of care, some kind of therapy. There's something deep seated in there, and it's not, when you will hurt something as innocent as an animal, you will hurt other people. Okay, and it's been proven. Psychology proves it to us, and we have seen it. You can look up any serial killer, any mass murderer, and a lot of murderers, and if you go back into their history, there is usually obviously violence, but there is always something in there where they've hurt animals or they've hurt other children or something. Maybe when they were a child they hurt other kids. I mean, these are definitely red flags. So he obviously has some issues.
Barry just has no soul, like I said.
Well, okay. We'll probably do some more of these. There are just a lot of different court things out there. Obviously, Lexi and myself are very opinionated about the court systems and about laws. We try to vote our conscience, and these crimes touch a lot of people. They're going to touch the person, the guilty party, the criminal, the victims. I mean, these things reverberate out, and they're not good for anybody involved. Also, we would like to say to the people out there, especially these young impressionable kids, teens, definitely make sure that you are aware of who your friends are and what your friends do. Try to steer clear of those who maybe don't have any goals, for the future, who may be leaning more towards a crime path. Stay away from people who do drugs. I mean, go ahead and try to get your diploma. Try to go to college, go to a trade school, start your own business. I mean, if you're an artist, there's lots of things that you can do without going into a life of crime. Definitely don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs and drive. There's lots of other choices out there. Always remember, and I've always told her that it only takes one time, one instance, one screw up, and can totally mess your life completely up, and you can't undo it, unfortunately. But I think that this will probably be one in a series of court stuff. We're tossing around some other ideas of reactions and commentary that we want to do as well. If you haven't already, subscribe. We're going to know when our videos come out. A thumbs up would be really great. We would really appreciate that. Share our videos with your friends or your family. And actually today, me and Lexi, we posted a cooking video. So we're wanting to do some cooking things out there to be helpful, or just to just be able to show you maybe some of the different ideas or things that we do here at home as well. So until next time, peace.